Programmatic navigation in SwiftUI got a huge improvement in iOS 16 with NavigationStack. NavigationStack works with data or values instead of views, and this gives us a ton of control over our navigation programmatically. We can manipulate that data to navigate to whichever screen we like, including the very common pop back to the root view. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. The starter project I have here is very basic. I want to keep the video focused on NavigationStack, but I'll run through it real quick. As you can see, it is a list of video game platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, PC. That's this object down here. Platform, right? We have a name, image name, color, keeping it super simple for the example of the video. Our list is populated by an array of those platforms, and you can see I'm creating that array by initializing Xbox, I'm initializing PlayStation with the image name, color, etc. So that is how I get my list of platforms. Down here I have a list with a section header called platforms, the for each to go through each of those platforms, and we create a label based on the platform name, the system image, so that Xbox logo, PlayStation logo, those are SF symbols. So we pass in the SF symbol and give it a foreground color of whatever color we designated, right? Green for Xbox, etc. So that is the basic starter project that we're going to build upon to learn about NavigationStack. So first things first, let's put this list in a NavigationStack. If I highlight that, create a curly brace, it automatically embeds that. That's new in Xcode 14. Love that feature. We'll start typing navigation, not link, we'll get to that in a second, but NavigationStack. Now you'll see we do have path and route. We're going to talk about the path when we do the programmatic navigation towards the end of the video, so we'll come back to that. But for now, we can just have a NavigationStack, and let's give our list a .navigation title of gaming. And there's our navigation title and the typical navigation stuff. Now you'll notice our list doesn't have those little disclosure arrows that tell us, hey, we can tap on Xbox to go to a new screen. For that, we need to add a navigation link. Now to be clear, NavigationStack is replacing the old navigation view, and navigation link is still called the same, it just takes in a different value for a parameter. So let's wrap each of these labels, right? Again, we're doing a for each through all the platforms. For each platform, we're creating a label. So we want each label to be its own navigation link. That's going to give us the little arrows over there. So let's highlight our label, hit the curly brace to embed that in a navigation. Now we want to do link. And here's the key difference. Value in label. This is the big fundamental change with NavigationStacks. This value is now a hashable piece of data. Again, navigation stacks are based on data, not views. That is the big fundamental change. So you'll notice this piece of data needs to be hashable. So let's do that real quick on our platform object. Whatever data you're passing in does need to conform to hashable, so we can make our platform hashable just like that. And because the underlying types of a string color all automatically conform to hashable, we're good to go. That's all we have to do there. So the value we want to pass in is our platform. Now, where did I get this platform? That is the platform that we're iterating over the array over in our for each, and in the closure, we get that variable called platform, so that is what we're also passing into the navigation link. Now the label is just the view. So the label is the UI, and we already had that UI. For us, it is the label. Those are the same words, but this is, SwiftUI has a type called label where you pass in an image and a name. So that is the UI. And you see we get the disclosure indicators over there, but if we tap on it, nothing happens because that's just part one. So part one is creating the navigation link in the navigation stack, and you're passing in a value. So this is the data. We're passing in our platform, which again would be Xbox, PlayStation, PC. Part two is to create a navigation destination modifier so it knows what to do with that data. So on our list here below the navigation title gaming, let's do navigation destination for, and you see the for takes a hashable, so it needs to know what type of data. So let's create that. So our type is going to be platform.self, and that is just us declaring that, hey, this is the type of data that you will receive. And then now here in this destination, we need to tell it what to do. So we are going to get a platform. We need to tell it what to do when it gets a platform. So again, that's why this is all data based, right? We're not passing in a specific view here. We're just saying, hey, you get this piece of data that is a platform, do this. And in a second, we're going to have multiple types on the screen. We're going to have a game. So we're going to have a Xbox and then a game like Madden 23 or something. And then it will do something different when it gets a game data, and it'll get something different when it gets platform data. So again, everything is just segmented by data. Okay, let's write some quick UI code. So we'll do a Z stack and we'll do platform.color.ignores safe area. And then we'll do a UI similar to this. We'll just take this label here. So copy that label. You'll see I'm just kind of building some like dummy UI is all I'm doing. You'll see it pop up in a second. We'll do font is .large, title .bold. So again, how this works, you let this navigation destination know what type to expect. Hey, when I get a platform, this is the UI I need to show. And I just built some quick dummy little UI. So now when I type Xbox, we went to this new screen that has the platform color. That Xbox green is the background, it's the Z stack, and on top of that Z stack, we have a label with the logo and platform name there in title in bold. This is a simple example. In a real app, this would be your full-blown screen, whatever screen you want to navigate to. Maybe you have some pictures of Xbox, a list of games, whatever you want to attach to the Xbox. But this would be the full-blown UI screen, whatever you have. Again, super simple example that we will build on. So that is the basics, right? You rely on types. You give the navigation link a type. We give it a type of platform. And the second part is our navigation destination is specific to a type. So cool, I got a platform. Here's what I'm gonna do for the platform. I'm gonna create a Z stack, pass in the platform color, give the platform label, cool. Now, what if we had different types going back to our list here? We have a list of platforms. What if we had a list of games as well? And now we have two different types on the same screen, but we wanna navigate to different screens based on that type. To save time, I am gonna bring in some copy and pasted code, but it's basically the same thing that we did with our platform. So I'm gonna have a type of game. Again, it's gotta conform to hashable for the navigation link. And our game just has a name and a rating, right? It'll be like Madden 23 rated 88 or whatever. And then back up to the top under our platforms, I'm going to paste our array of games. Again, this is basically the same thing I did with platform. We have an array of games, and then I initialized each game, Minecraft, and gave it a rating of 99, God of War 98, whatever. So that's all that is. So now we want to have another section in our list for games. So let's type that out. So we'll do section, call that games. We'll do for each games and games, get that nice autocomplete. Except I need to give this an ID because it doesn't conform to identifiable. We could do that, but I'm just gonna go based on name for the ID. And we'll just keep that text in there, keep it super basic. But now you can see we have two different sections, right? We have a whole section of platform types, and now we have a section of game types. So how do we know where to navigate to with different types? Because we have this navigation destination for our platform, so we know what to do there. Well, what we need to do if we have multiple types on the same screen is have another navigation destination modifier. Well, actually first, we need to wrap our text here in a navigation link with a value and a label. Now that value is going to be the game. Again, this is the same thing we just did up there with platform, but the navigation link, key difference is we're passing in data, and I couldn't get rid of that placeholder or whatever. We'll just do text game.name, same thing there. So now you see over here our Minecraft God of War. Now we got the little disclosure arrows. That will take us to a new screen, but we tap it, nothing happens because we have our navigation destination, but it only knows how to handle a platform. So if I tap something that's not a platform, it doesn't know what to do. So like I said, we need another navigation destination for the type of game. So this is how you handle different types on the same screen. So scroll up a bit and we'll do .navigation destination for. Now this time we want to do game.self, and we'll pass in a game there in the closure to get access to it. And this is where you put your UI, what view do you want to show when a game is tapped? And we're going to pass in a simple text for now with some string interpolation here. First one will be game.name, a little space dash, and then game.rating. So we'll say God of War -92, and we'll give that a font of .large title .bold. Okay, so now let's tap Minecraft. There we go, we're on a whole new screen that just says Minecraft 99, whatever the rating, back to gaming, Fortnite 92. So that is the basics of how NavigationStack works. Again, we didn't get into the custom programmatic navigation, which is the fun stuff. That's a huge benefit we get from this change to NavigationStack. But to review real quick, the main shift is now everything is based on data. And to handle two different types of data, you have to have two different navigation destinations. You have to specify which data you have, and then you pass in whichever UI you would like to go to based on each type of data. And again, the data comes from the navigation link where we pass in a value, which is a type of data that has to conform to hashable. Now let's move on to that custom programmatic navigation. But first, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to help you get that iOS developer portfolio, blog, or personal website up and running very quickly. Now I know we're all developers with the skills and the desire to build the web page ourselves, but I would argue there's an opportunity cost to your time. If you're an iOS developer trying to build a great product, a great app, maybe spending a lot of time learning the ins and outs of web development, responsive design, isn't the best way to spend your time. That's why I recommend Squarespace to build that personal website, the blog, your portfolio, or maybe a landing page for your app. They have all kinds of beautiful themes and templates to get you started. They handle all the analytics and the SEO for you. Again, it just saves you so much time so you can get back to doing what you want to do, and that is building iOS apps. So when you're ready to get started, go to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/SeanAllen to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I'm going to show you the custom programmatic navigation in two phases. The first phase is where everything is the same type, which is probably rare, but that is also the simpler way to teach you the fundamentals of how this works. And then we move on to using a navigation path, which is the more common way, which is where you can have different types in your navigation stack. That all might not have made sense. It will in about 5 minutes. Okay, so backing up all the way to the fundamentals here, the navigation stack is an array of data. You can kind of think of it as a stack of cards because that data does translate to views. As you're navigating through your app, you keep adding views on top of the stack. And then when you start hitting that back button a bunch, you're just popping views off the stack. And thinking of it like this deck of cards is a good way to visualize that. So now that you know that this navigation stack is just an array of data which translates to views, let's start learning how to manipulate that array. So a navigation stack, as you saw when I first built it, can take a path. So we're gonna add a path parameter here, and I'm gonna delete the root stuff because the root is this view, right? This list is the root view. So I need a binding to a navigation path. We'll talk about navigation path in a little bit because that is the more complex version, but to give a simple example to show you how this works, at state private var, just call it path, and that is going to be of type an array of game. And right now it's an empty array. There's nothing in our navigation path. Again, think of the navigation path as this deck of cards. It's going to be an array of data that's going to translate to views. So down in our game section, let's get rid of this for each, just for example purposes. Let's say we just had a button. Let's go title and action. So the title is add games. And then the action, here we can manipulate this path. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. The navigation stack does need to have a binding to this path, right? Right now that path is an array of games. It will be of type navigation path in a later example, but right now we can just do $path, and that is a binding to this path. So anytime we manipulate this array, our navigation stack will update. So speaking of manipulating that array, add games. So we can do path.append, and we'll say, I'm just gonna use this existing games array. So we'll say, let's take Minecraft. So we want the first element in the array. So we'll do game.first, and that's an optional, so we'll unwrap that. So now you see our list of games changed to the word just add games. So now when I tap this, you'll see we went to Minecraft because what happened is path.appended. I appended games.first. I just appended the data of the Minecraft object, right? That's the first element in this array. So now the path is holding the data Minecraft. It's not holding a view. Again, this is the big difference. It's holding the data. But because navigation destination knows what to do when it gets data of type game, that's why it pushed this new view based on this data onto the stack. And again, when I hit back, I'm back to the root view controller, and our path array is empty because we're back to the root. So again, when I hit add games, again, we just added the Minecraft game. And the cool thing, this is where we're starting to get into the custom stuff, is like, yeah, sure, I just added one views. Well, what if I did, instead of path.append the first games, what if I wanted to just throw a whole stack on there, right? I could do path equals, well, I could copy and paste this whole array, right? You can create whatever array you want, just an array of data. I'm just gonna say path equals games, right? So that's equal to this whole array. So now when I hit add games, I'm just gonna throw 4 views onto this stack, which was pretty difficult to do before in SwiftUI, but Navigation Stack gives us that power. Add games, okay, it looks like it went to Madden 23, right? You don't even see all those other views. If we look up at our array, Madden 23 is the latest one. But watch, if I go back, went to Fortnite, back to God of War, back to Minecraft, and then back to the root. So again, this custom navigation all comes down to manipulating that array that is your path, where you can throw 1 view on there, 2 views, a whole bunch of views, right? All it is an array. So whatever array you pass into that path, that's what it's gonna represent in your navigation stack. So if you wanted to pop back to the root view controller, all you need to do is make path an empty array, and it will automatically pop it back to the root. So that's pretty cool, but that is a very simple example because that requires everything in our stack, right? If I hit add games, everything in our stack has to be of type game. And if you think about a real app, I don't know, that's probably pretty rare that you're just gonna go game to game to game. Maybe, most likely you're gonna go platform to game to developer, like game developer, to maybe reviews and then who wrote that article. There's gonna be all types of different data as you're navigating through this app. That is, 95% most likely of how this is actually going to work. So this example I just showed you, where everything is a game, was simple, and it looked like you can easily manipulate that array, and that is the case when everything is of the same type. I just don't think that's the most common use case, but I wanted to show this easy example so you could fundamentally understand how things are working, in that essentially you're just manipulating an array of data, which in turn manipulates your stack of views. Okay, let's talk about that most common scenario with the navigation path. So right now we're specifying our path is an array of game. Again, that's when everything is the same type. But what we will do is say navigation path equals navigation path. Now, if I option click into this, let's see what this is. Open a developer documentation. You can read more about this if you like, but navigation path is a type erased list of data represent the content of a navigation stack. That type erased list is the key word there, because now we can throw all different types in there. Like I said, most likely you're gonna go from a platform to a game developer, to a game reviewer. All different types can be in the same navigation path. So that is the purpose of this. Another little bonus thing, which would be an entirely different video, we're not going to go down into this, but once you have this navigation path, you can serialize it. It conforms to codable, so what you can do is you can save that to like user defaults, so you can basically restore the state of the navigation. Like maybe the user is super deep down your navigation path, like 6 screens deep, and if they like close the app, well, now they just lost where they were. Well, now you can like save their progress essentially in your navigation and reinstate that state next time they open their app, or there's many other use cases for this. But again, now with Navigation Stack, we can serialize the stack and restore that however we like. So that's a pretty cool little bonus. Okay, back to this navigation path example. Okay, for that, we can get rid of this button. That was just a quick little example. And let's uncomment our for each. This should go back to what we did before I did that, basic example. To illustrate this, I'm going to manipulate our UI a little bit, and that is going to be in the navigation destination. So remember, this was our platform UI. If I hit Xbox, right, we got the background color and the label. Well, here, let's throw this label in a VStack real quick. So VStack, because I want to have a list of games below it. So again, this list here, we will copy this for each, put it in a list. There we go. So now when I tap my platform, the platform has a list of games. Just to refresh here, I'm in my navigation destination. Like I said, this is the UI for your whole screen. So you would probably want to have this refactored out into its own view. So it's pretty simple, and then you pass the data properly. This video is already long enough. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So I'm building all my UI in here. But just to let you know, you would probably want to refactor this UI out. But I'm doing this so I can build a deep stack and then customize that stack with navigation path of different types, right? We're going to have platforms in there. We're going to have games in there. So I wanted our platform to have a list of games so we could keep building that navigation stack deep. Never mind platform exclusivity of these games. We're not going to go there. So now let's adjust our games UI. So I'm going to throw this text of the game into a VStack as well. So VStack, we'll do spacing of 20. And let's click on the game so we can see this in action. Okay, so Minecraft 99 here. I'm just gonna have a couple buttons where I can add a platform, I can add a game, and then I can navigate back to a specific screen, pop to root, that stuff. So I'm showing you the custom navigation using a navigation path with multiple different types. So I'm gonna paste these buttons in here that I copied from another project. Again, simple buttons with a title and an action. If I tap on a game, you can see now we have our buttons. We're gonna say, this is the recommended next game, or go to another platform, or go home. Like that's that pop to root. And I'm using these buttons to show you how you can manipulate this path, right? Because we have this path up here, this at state, private var navigation path. And again, this is all in one content view. You could have this up in a view model or in an environment object, but for the simplicity of learning about how navigation path works, we're keeping it all in the same view. Okay, so recommended game. So to add a view onto the navigation path is similar to what we did when we manipulated the array of games just a little bit ago. So we can do path.append value, and you see the value just has to be hashable. So we want to append just a random game in here, right? Let's pretend we had a recommendation engine that recommended similar games, but for us, we're going to do our games array dot random element, and for the sake of this educational example, we'll just force unwrap that to get the actual random game. So when we tap recommended game, you'll see we go to a new game, Madden 23. It's a random game. Recommended game, Fortnite. And what I'm simulating is building a deep stack with a bunch of different types. So I guess we're just gonna have platforms and games, but you'll see different types. Go to another platform, doesn't do anything. But we do the same thing. So we'll do path.append platforms.random element. And then so now when we go God of War, cool, go to another platform, it goes to mobile, a random platform. And then we can go to a game here. So you can see, and then you can see our stacks building up. We're gonna go back to that platform, back to a game, back to the home screen. So you see we're building a stack of a bunch of different types. And again, this is representing in a real app, you going to a wide variety of different screens, right? Not everything is going to be the same type. This is the more common way. Now go home, like I said in the games thing, to pop to root, you just make the array 0. So you can do path.remove last, and you see you can pass in a value. Removes a number of values from this path. So remove last, you can say 4. Now, of course, I'm hard coding this. You can't necessarily hard code it. So let's do path.count. So we're going to remove however many items are in the path. That's going to make it an empty array, and that's going to pop us back to the root. But if you did want to hard code it, so let's say remove the last 2. So let's go again here, say click on Minecraft, we're 1 screen deep. Let's go to another platform, Xbox, now we're 2 screens deep. Let's go to Fortnite, now we're 3 screens deep. Recommended game, Minecraft, now we're like 4 or 5 screens deep, I kind of lost count. But now when I hit go home, I'm just going back to Xbox. I just removed the last 2. Now again, I'm hard coding it just for the example. You would have to be very careful. You can't just hard code the screens because you don't know how many are going to be on there. But you can see how you can manipulate the stack to go back to whatever screen you need to. How you calculate that screen is going to be very unique to your app, but you have that complete control. But if I Command Z and go back to path.count, so that's going to remove all of them. Now when I'm super deep, so let's go to PlayStation, God of War, let's go to another platform, Xbox, let's go to Madden, let's go to another platform, PlayStation, Madden, right? So I'm like super deep into this stack, right? And then now when I hit go home, that's going to call remove last, and then you pass in a number, and path.count is going to be all the screens in there, right? So if there's 10 screens in there, it's going to be the number 10. So I hit go home, and now we're back to the root view. So that is the huge improvement Navigation Stack gave us in iOS 16. Everything is now based on data, and we can manipulate that array of data, which translates into views, however we like to manipulate the navigation however we need. And that is a huge improvement for SwiftUI in iOS 16. If you like my teaching style, I have a bunch of iOS developer courses at seanallen.teachable.com. We'll see you in the next video.